All right, everybody. I want to talk about how could you achieve world peace the atheist way. Means pretty much no redemption. People don't want to admit what they did, and they don't want to get into trouble. So God, how can you fix that for these things out there? To create world peace and be truthful, right? And everyone's going to study and everyone's going to be true and things are going to be found out. And when things get found out, how can these people not get into trouble, right? There's a court system where, you can get pardons no matter what you did. Someone can come in, a president, and go, I'm allowed to pick 5, right? That's a way, right? Humans are already doing. You can do a pay behind the scenes payments, all sorts of ways already that humans are already existently doing, right? But are wrong because it's not working out too well in the long run. It wasn't a long run plan. And so how do they fix it? How would the world accept to it to be fixed without a battle? Because if they don't do what I'm about to tell you, there has to be a battle. So how do we fix it with speech and forgiveness? And they say in the Bible, so this will be easy for the Christians, that they will forgive them, right? So how does everyone become like a Christian and forgive people no matter what they did and move on, as long as it doesn't happen from now on, right? They can say that, move on. Jesus died all the sins, we were meant to move on in a new, better way, but didn't. How do they actually do that? Even if the story comes out 500 years later, when was the move on part where they learnt and had no sins like then? We've slowly changed because of science and education and all that. But when was the magical, all of a sudden, it's better? We're all still waiting for it, apparently. We must have lost it. Right? And so we get back to reality and we go, so how can we get it to happen? Well, we have to forgive them all. No matter if they've killed 10,000, we have to forgive them a little bit like Australians forgive politics after they've spent $1 billion and you've got to pay it back. And they do blocks where babies die because they couldn't get to hospitals and stuff like that. So they've done things and said things and killed people because of what they said, right? Some people can say things a normal person and get into deep shit because they said that they might do something, right? And they get into deep shit. And these people do actions that actually cause bad things, and they're not meant to. They're meant to do the opposite. And they're meant to have the education so they don't do bad things. But yet they got all the education and everything and the badge, and they're allowed to get away with these things and get a slap on the hand. Isn't that sad? Right? And what does that cause when that happens? Well, more people not really giving a shit because they'll get a slap on their hand. Judges should know all about that, eh? Right? Too many slaps on the hand, well, they're going to keep on going, eh? And the judge, you're hearing some of them's like giving 10 warnings. Hey, it's the 10th time. I'm Catholic. How many times has God let it go, I guess? We all make our own decision on that. I'm perhaps going to finally tell you can do some extra community work or actually time out. I think I might send you to a place that educates you besides just jail, right? This time I won't send you straight to jail because that just makes things worse usually, unless you're already fitted in perfectly. You're heading that direction, so we're going to send you to this educational place. And if you can't fit in there, then that means you fit into the jail. What do you reckon when it comes to that? So anyway, back to the world forgiveness. What do you reckon? Could that happen? What country could force people to do such a thing, or will they do it? Will they lie when they go to do their forgiveness? How would they know that they're not? Would all these people have to be on all the lie detectors tests or go through all the ones that we have? And if they come up with the same readings, all of them, that's what the truth is. Can we find it that way, right, about what's going down? What do you reckon, people? Do you reckon humans are really bright at all, or are they only good at making shit? They're copiers and stuff. Copiers, right, will make shit and they'll be a bit lost and they only make shit and they understand if it makes them a benefit. So when they make shit, they got to hope that they get something out of it. So they've got to be desperate enough. So in the poor sector, what you do is you make a bunch of people desperate and out of need and get no help and shit. And so they're desperate. And so they'll work for pennies. Right? And then you get another sector that likes to spend money and shit. And then you make the money off that. And there's the world human race. Right? They're not fair at all. They actually set up these things to put people in sectors because they believe a fair world will be too thriving and they won't be able to do their evil deeds by smelling things they want to smell and touching things they want to touch that perhaps they shouldn't smell or touch. Right? But they want that. And to get that, you live in the world that we are today. A world of too much facade, too much this is what it's meant to be, and we say this is what's right, but we don't enforce it. Right? Facades. In fact, we'll talk about it, and we've been talking about it for 50 years. You know, I know some people that you talk about all the time. You try to teach them, and they never get it. They call them slow people. So I guess you can call governments, they fight and carry on so much that they either look like slow people or they are, and they dislike selfies and picnics. So when we go back to the real world again, how do we create world peace, really? Well, so far, every time we do it, we need one dude to outdo the other dude and get rid of him. If he goes, look, if you're not going to have stop sniffing kids, then we're going to kill you. I can't stop sniffing kids. All right, everybody, we got rid of all the snippers. All right, we have world peace of snippers, right? You can put that into stop killing, stop raping, stop whatever. That brings world peace. That's the human way of believing of it, isn't it? Isn't that what countries are doing right now at each other? Because they don't know how to educate each other and come to an agreement between each other and then show the world those agreements. Because really, if you want things from the world, which is the world is the people, and keeping things behind the scenes and governments talk, we don't know the truth, and then we find out the truth all the time that we never got the truth. And so I believe if other countries want to help other countries, they need to show us what these peace deals are and actually let us know what they spoke. And if they can't do that, no help from us then, because you can't show the real people why you need help. Like a real person tries to put up on the internet about what's going on around them and what deals are happening and what they've got, right? I'm showing a point, or I try to, about being honest. 747 as I got to there, have you noticed? What did I talk about with 747? I've got a few things to talk about that. When it comes to numbers, they relate in all different ways. It all depends on how you want to see it or believe in it. Huh? What you're looking for. Anyway, so back to world peace. So if that doesn't work out, and then you also have these, you know where you can't get world peace here? You know why you won't get it now? Because the devil made sure you couldn't. How did the devil do that? What kind of trick could the devil do to make sure there wouldn't be world peace if they tried, and if they did, it's going to be a shitty world and not very peaceful and a hell of a world, right? How do you do that? So the devil kicks ass in the end, right? Which just, shit all over everything. You create nuclear defense. So that way when they get blown up, they pollute. You create things that'll be used in war and guaranteed to be blown up, which is war. So weapons and stuff will be more likely from they're going to be blown up. What do you hear about now with nuclear power plants? Just build this shit. And so they'll come in and blow it up and then think about it later. They'll have some sort of scientist saying the wind will go that way, we'll be right, and some propaganda. We always do, we're good at it. Right? We're already screwed. So if we don't all die, we'll be in a world where we'll probably have to be underground so they can sniff you better if they get in there first, because the sniffers would have already, we've already pre-planned it. You get it? That's why these underground cities. Why would you build underground cities, really, when we're trying to build cities up in the air and it's fresh and it's good and it's better and all sorts of things, and yet we've got these yahoos wasting all that money that they steal and put away and hold, or they just put it into the ground and then they find out later they don't need these bomb shelters. What do you reckon? Or actually they did, but they changed their mind later on with what they were planning then. They needed some more candy. Wasn't good enough, the bombshell. After a few months, the 60 stuff, this wasn't satisfying and reliable. So we'll wait a little bit longer where we can get more reliable machines and stuff. And then we'll do our plan then. What do you reckon? We'll talk about certain things, and then you'll see it go quiet on the internet, and then all of a sudden it just coincidentally happens. What do you reckon? We can laugh about it behind the scenes, how the devil can just talk things right in your face, and you just walk right into it. What do you reckon? But back to world peace again. Don't forget, I'm just having a chat here. You can absorb and take what you want. Back to world peace. So we get the biggest ones, right, and they try to dominate. And then the next biggest one's not too far off that big one, and they want to dominate too. And then all this chaos happens, and they run underground. And then the ones that only got something left, they become the next biggest one. And then and history shows this. And then the biggest one's not the biggest one anymore. And then there's the medium one becomes sort of the biggest one, but then it screws up and it got confused. And so the smaller one comes in, like you hear on that train show, right, where they all live on a train, right, because it knew something. And then humans go through their filth, like history shows. Now, what shows us that we're not going to repeat that history? If you were a gambler, what would you gamble on that we might just repeat such a history cycle? Right? Had a lot of people talking about, like, we're living in this age, you think it's good. It's not functional. We're struggling to get it functional, and then if we try to make other countries get in line, because we're all connected and we all need to be now and that, because we're so functional, right, but dysfunctional. How are we actually going to become functional without this war, without this pollution there? Right? How are you going to stop North Korea coming at you with all these ships, shooting them blast, and you're like, oh shit, we can't shoot him, he's got his nuclear fucking thingy. They know this. Like, what you going to do? If you shoot, I'm going to talk about how much you pollute and shit. What do you think is going to happen? You know what you're going to do? You're going to be Aussies, and you're going to order some more nuclear shit to do the same shit. What do you reckon? You're not going to worry about changing no design, keeping all the cool rockets and all the cool shit. You just need to change the way it's propelled. You can slow down your engine a little bit. Perhaps you're not allowed to go full speed all the time, or can't anyway. You can just stop every now and then. You don't have to have one that can go from the end of the trip to the other trip. You can have some stops. Perhaps when you have some stops, it's a good thing because you can refreshen up. You know what I mean? And you can be not part of them. And you can actually have a defence force that can attack, and when they get blown up, they can only just look bad about what they used. What do you reckon? And they wouldn't have to throw anything back because you wouldn't be having such a thing. But if you have such a thing, they can throw it back. It's a little bit like when a parent has a kid at 16, does quite well in their life, and then they try to tell their 16-year-old kid that they can't have a kid and try to give advice. What do you think happens? Let me know in comments. I'm about to tell you a theory of what happens. What happens is they go, you're talking shit. You're giving a probability it could happen. But we got proper, look at yours. Yours worked out. Why is that? Because the one you had sex with did well. Well, you did. Perhaps it's because you got an inheritance. Maybe I'll go for that luck too. Maybe I'll just, life is luck. Maybe I might just get the same luck, Mum. Huh? Why can't you just think positive? Why can't you just let us learn lessons like you did, or go through what you did? You turned out all right. Why do you have to fucking whinge at us so much? Does it make you feel superior, right? That you find out knowledge that could have maybe benefited. Maybe you might have had a more holiday life without kids screaming and yelling at you, and then had it a bit later on. You know what I mean? Is it fun saying, you know what I mean? You know, when I get a job for real and I go to talk to people for real, I won't be saying, you know what I mean. Right? I'll just be saying it. Right? And then you can take it in. But when you want comments back, you might chuck in, do you know what I mean? Because let me know in comments. What do you reckon? Perhaps you just use words just to get to the ones that think that they know what you mean, and then they talk shit behind the back. So you go, well, let's talk about them and go, you know what I mean? What do you reckon? Anyway, good luck out there with world peace. I'm hearing a lot of things about connection. We always hear a lot of things about that in patches, and humans like to hear things sound good, even though in reality their credit card's still going up. But they go, put a smile on your dial, and we do that quite well, don't we? Even though we know we're getting into more shit, and then the government fucks up, and then you're like, fuck. Because imagine that, eh? People, bad enough the people do it, and then all of a sudden the system does it because what, collectively the people did it? Oh, hang on, no, it could have been about those leaders I was talking about that fuck up and then get away with shit. What do you reckon? And then we all suffer collectively, slowly, and then that creeps up over time, doesn't it? Countries have shown that with inflation and collapsing about what their leaders did and how they brought mansions and all this shit and wanted to be top shit like some other leaders when they're in a poor country. Check it out. And then they made them super poor and collapsed so another country can come in. Was it all a setup for the other countries to take over? Have you ever heard of business takeovers? How they do things and make prices down and all these things and make them feel jealous by upgrades so the other dudes upgrade and overspend and all this shit and collapse? It's the same thing. And everything's treated like a business because it's all about money. That's God. You get good at business, good at tricks, good at getting money, then you're doing everything you need to do because you'll get everything you want in this world, true? Money, you get a nice house, you can get it just by doing a hop, skip, and a fucking fly in the air further than anyone else and hover in the sky for a minute. That's all you have to do and you'll be loaded on this planet. They love that shit. They'll absorb it and want to see it over and over again, so you make a killing. It's like a movie. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Have a good one, everybody. The more people get irritated about shit, the more you might get clips like this and just go, what a joke. What do they want to hear next? What do you reckon? Have a good one and see you later.